Coach Burrow doesn't wear gold. He's going to have the white Joe Burrow shirt on. Or if I can get my hands on one of those purple QB Joe shirts that he had on Saturday at Rivers Tailgate, I'd love to get one of those. Coach, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. Back in Ohio, so it's a good day here in Ohio.
How was the trip back down home, down to Mississippi?
Oh, it was great. I got a chance after the game in Baton Rouge to drive down to Mississippi and spent a whole week. Actually beat my dad in golf one day, and then he came back on Friday. He's 89 years old, and he shot 87, and it wasn't even close. So I'm not going to tell you what I shot, but it's pretty amazing he can go out there and do that. But seeing friends and family, it was great. And the game, that's a good day too.
So the athleticism runs long in the Burrow family. All right, lots to unpack from Saturday. Let's start with the comedic relief. How much have you heard about Joe's backside since Saturday?
Well, a lot, and it's all in good fun. I mean, Joe handles things like that pretty well. It's something that'll always be out there. There's the internet keeps things forever, so his kids, his grandkids, everybody will have a good laugh at it one of these days. But it happened, and there's nothing you can do about it. And as I said, I've seen some of his comments; they're actually pretty funny.
He saved the day. We were talking about it as a staff. It really goes to show you how embarrassed you can be, no matter where you are, to save your naked body from becoming public. Because at one point, it looked like when he grabbed the back of his pants, I mean, he saved his entire pants from coming down on national television and in front of about a 60,000 seat audience there in Starkville. So it was cool. But it was a historic day for LSU football because your son set the single-season record for touchdowns thrown in a season. Also another 300-yard passing game for him, which was a record. How cool has this been to watch?
Well, it's been pretty amazing to watch the transition from last year and the way Joe's playing, the way the whole offense is playing, and as I say every week, the wins and the record Saturday, there's a lot of credit to go around with the coaching staff, the offensive line, receivers, running backs. I mean, it's not just Joe. He certainly gets his fair share of the credit, but it's great. As a defensive coach, you look at it and you say how do you stop it? And but it's I think Joe thinks it can even be better. So we'll see.
Well, and so put your defensive hat on because Terrace Marshall is.
Well, real quick, I'm sorry to cut you. Does he say how they could become better?
Well, I think the red zone in that game probably was disappointing. I mean, they've scored I think 100% in the red zone this year, but field goals are part of that 100%. But they want touchdowns, and I think that's one of the things he knows that they'll have to do better in this particular game, and I'd say that's the main thing.
Coach, so put your defensive coach's hat on then, and with Terrace Marshall returning, you're now going to have Jefferson, Chase, you got Thad Moss. I mean, Derek Dillon's catching touchdowns. Stephon Sullivan's a giant. Clyde Edwards-Helaire out the backfield. Like, if you're presented with stopping this LSU offense, who do you prioritize?
Well, that's the great thing about it. You can't really prioritize as a defensive coach in your schemes. You just got to play good, sound defense and try to get pressure on the quarterback. I mean, you saw Saturday. They got a few sacks and slowed us down, but I was never one to try to double somebody too much or place too much emphasis on one particular receiver. But even now, even if you wanted to do that, you can't, especially with Terrace coming back. I mean, that just opens up a whole new avenue for Joe and the offense.
Yeah, and when have you been able to watch this Auburn defense at all this season?
Not very much. I know some of the coaches over there, and they've done a great job over the years, and they have 4 down linemen I've watched, so you can get pressure. in their scheme with 4 down, and they got just good skilled people all around. So definitely a challenge for LSU offense.
What's the reputation of Kevin Steele within your industry, somebody who's been around defensive football so long?
He's a great coach. Does a really good job of game planning. I've known Kevin for many years. He eventually coached in Nebraska after I had quit playing there a few years. Just everywhere he's been, they played good defense. Greg Brown, I think he's still the defensive back coach. I've known him for a long time, and they got experience on the staff. And to me, being an older guy, that's always a good thing. They can rely on past experiences, and then to back that up with the skill level of their players is puts it into a very good defensive mind and plan. And I'm sure again they'll have some different things ready for LSU.
It's one of your coaches, your former coaches on staff that you were with in Nebraska, and Bill Bush, that was the inside track for LSU in landing Joe here last year when he decided to transfer out of Ohio State. His safeties have been playing phenomenal, and specifically last weekend, Delpit and Stevens were all over the field. First, tell me about Bill Bush and your thoughts on him and the impact he's making for this defensive squad this year.
Well, Bill and I had known each other over the years, actually not that well, but well enough that that he was one of the first that I called when I knew Joe was transferring to say, hey, Joe's leaving Ohio State. So we've had a relationship, see each other at the coaches conventions over the years. He actually coached my older son, or Van Burrow, there in Nebraska. So we have known each other. He does a great job with those safeties, and really has done a great job everywhere he's been. And you put those two guys on the line of scrimmage, you put them deep. I think they all do a good job of mixing and matching what those two guys can do as safeties. But and he continues to do a great job recruiting, from what I understand and what I see, that LSU, the commitments they have, and knowing that Bill's a big part of that.
So you kind of got my brain just thinking back to Joe being recruited to LSU, and it's just so kind of wild how long ago that seems now at this point. When y'all were going through that process, did y'all know maybe how much talent was on this LSU football team?
Well, once we started kind of investigating each school, calling around to get people's opinion of not only the coaching staff, the program, and players individually. So it was a process for us to learn that. I mean, you hear all the things that's being said over the years about LSU, but growing up down there and being involved in coaching, you knew they had a great skill set of receivers, and so. But the more you look into it, it just seemed like there was a lot of talent there, and that did play into Joe's decision.
So we're talking to Jimmy Burrow, Joe Burrow's father, longtime football coach himself, and because of that, started getting to go to all the games this season. First big Tiger Stadium game was a couple weeks ago in Florida. How much are you looking forward to this Saturday? Another CBS prime, 2:30 national television, another huge matchup.
Yeah, that certainly lived up to its hype. I thought the crowd was amazing. I think it did have something to do with momentum and how LSU plays, being in that environment and that atmosphere. And I know it's not a night game, but we're going to need the same intensity and crowd support on Saturday, and I'm sure it's going to be there. It's a big game. Auburn is always a big game. Really, every SEC is a big game, but this one is taken on even the greater proportions there. So they'll be ready. The crowd will be ready, and we'll be ready too.
So you logged the 10 hours home Sunday from Starkville to Ohio. How's a normal game week work for you with LSU playing here on Saturday and you back home in the Midwest? When do you start to trek back down south?
Well, normally my wife, she's a principal, and so once school's out on Friday, she meets up with me, and we fly. We fly to New Orleans, fly to Baton Rouge. We first drive to Columbus, about 70 miles. That's a normal weekend. There's a few where I'm going to drive down, and a few weeks ago I had some commitments in Baton Rouge to be involved in, and then that's when I picked Robin up at the airport, and then I drove to Mississippi, stayed with my parents. But the normal weekend is a flight to there on Friday and a flight back on Sunday.
Well, Coach, we always appreciate our conversations each Tuesday here on Off the Bench. Safe travels back down to Baton Rouge this weekend, and we'll see you in Tiger Stadium versus Auburn.
All right. Thanks a lot. Go Tigers.
Yes, sir. There he is, Coach Burrow, checking in with us just like he does every Tuesday morning to start off the 8 o'clock hour. We'll talk to former quarterback Jamie Howard here in 15 minutes.